T Fitness, and we're coming to you with our new and improved warm-up for our personal training and our small group personal training clients. And as you can tell here, I got a whole bunch of little goodies that you will need for your warm-up. You can take a foam roller and or a ball. Okay, this is the Trigger Point Therapy ball, which I'll hand off to Cody. You will need either a slant board, or you can use a half foam roller, and this is to help you with some of your stretches. Okay, handing that off to you. And you can use our big Mega Loop here for our glute activation. So these can be done with or without the Mega Loop. So these are the things that you'll need when you come in to get your warm-up done.
All right, guys, so we're going to start with the release section of the warm-up. So this is the point where you need the foam roller or the MB5 ball from Trigger Point. We're going to start with our calves, so you notice Tracy's set up here for calves. So put foam roller or the MB5 ball underneath your calf. Hips stay on the ground, all right? So don't turn this into a shoulder exercise, all right? Remember when we do our releases, we're not rolling back and forth constantly, okay? We're nice and slow. You want to find those tender spots, and you just want to sit on them. 30 seconds to 2 minutes per spot until you feel that release somewhere in that time frame. Common things that you're going to, or spots you'll feel would be kind of middle, lower section of your calf. Otherwise, high behind your knee, inside or outside are common points where you'll find some trigger points. So Tracy here is moving on to the ball to give you an idea what that looks like. You can move on to either the MB1 ball, the really small ones, or the tennis ball, but then you need to grab a yoga block as well to get you elevated. Otherwise, your heel is going to drag on the ground. All right, so we're going to move on to our next one here, which is piriformis. So Tracy will start up on the foam roller there. So remember, one cheek at a time when you're doing your piriformis. So we want to cross. This is commonly screwed up. So Tracy's crossing she's crossing the leg of the side she wants to release. So in this case, her right side for both. So what you're going to do is shift your weight off into that one cheek. Kind of that mid to upper section of your cheek, really kind of, again, nice and slow. Find those tender spots and just sit and relax on those. All right, so then we'll have her move on to that ball, so you can see what that looks like. Same positional setup, obviously a lot more intense with the ball. So if you can't cross that leg, that is fine. But if you can, get up there, try to pull that glute muscle tight so we can get into that piriformis a little bit more. All right. And then our next one, glute min TFL. So remember our anatomy. TFL would be like front pocket area. Glute min would be that bump on the outside of your hip, and then the crest of your hip bone here would be in between those. So those are areas you want to start with there. So you notice Tracy's set up. She's not like shoulders either parallel floor or perpendicular. She's kind of splitting the difference there. All right, she's got her other leg bent for a little extra support there as well. If you need to, you can always straighten that guy out and get a little bit more pressure. So then that way you can kind of take steps between the foam roller and the ball here. Again, slow, find those tender points, just stay there. All right, and we'll get the ball in there so you see what that looks like. Ball's a lot of fun. You'll enjoy the ball here. So there you go. So remember TFL and glute min so that you can kind of roll a little bit more towards your butt cheek a little bit more to get that side where that glute min is. And then also work that TFL as well. All right. Then our next release is the pec. So we'll start on that foam roller. So this one you're going to lay face down. All right, so foam roller is at an angle. You'll notice that for Tracy here. Arms stretched out overhead. Again, you want to stay fairly close to that shoulder. Kind of think of that section where that collarbone comes into your shoulder, right in that area where our pec minor is. That's where we want to try to get in and release that section a little bit. Commonly tight for a lot of people. You notice Tracy's opposite hand is there supporting her head, so she's not laying on the turf or not cranking her neck at all. And then just kind of relax and release, or lay into that a little bit. Don't tense up. Make sure we're not arching that low back at all as well. Ball, again, same thing. With the ball, we're going to be able to get into that corner a little bit more, that corner of the triangle, with a little bit more, just since it's more of a localized surface to apply pressure with. All right. Then our last one is our lat. All right. So Tracy's going to get set up here. And she's going to go on her side, so you want to work. There's a couple different spots up high in that armpit area. So here you'll notice the side she's releasing, arms up overhead. All right, she's laying on her side, well supported, hip is on the ground here, and then she's gonna find that tender spot, just sit and release and relax there. You can also work down a little bit lower for this as well. There you go. And the key is to stay as relaxed as you can while you do these. Some of them will be really intense, but you really want to make sure, especially that muscle that you were trying to release, make sure you keep that relaxed the best you can. Same setup here for the ball, obviously smaller points, so we're just getting a lot more pressure in the areas here.
All right, guys, now that we are done with releasing, we're gonna go into our stretching portion of our warm-up. So I'm gonna have Cody step on the slam board to start, and his second toe is pointed forward. Okay, that's the one thing. You wanna make sure that your full foot is on there, because again, when we go and use like a stair or maybe the side of the weight rack, you end up stretching your plantar fascia. And then what ends up happening is people complain more about foot pain, and you're not really getting into what we want to do is stretch the calves. Okay, so keeping in mind when we do that, he's going to move over here to the half foam roller. This one's a little tricky because I need a little, a little wall assistance.
Me too.
So when we're doing this, I'm just going to step over here, excuse my backside, but you want to make sure you have your kinetic chain. Okay, so you don't want your hips pushed back. So you want to engage your glutes, lock out your quads, and really push your heels into the floor. All right, so I'm going to have Cody go down to the floor because we're going to do our hip flexors next. And he is going to be in a 90-90. Again, common mistakes are we want to lean too far forward, we get an arch in that low back, and that's not what we want. So you want to tuck your glutes, okay? Really squeeze the glute and push into that. Now if you want it to be a little more intense, you can raise that same side arm and lean slightly over. And add a little rotation for a little psoas stretch. Very nice. All right, he's going to come on down to the floor and do the piriformis. So as you can see, he has an upright torso, okay, and he's just doing a little knee hug. So he's giving a little stretch through that glute. And again, these stretches are 30 seconds to 2 minutes until you feel that nice release, okay? So, yep, your warm-up can take a little bit longer, but it's worth it in the end. So, we are gonna go on to the pec stretch, and we're gonna use the half foam roller. You can use a full foam roller. So I'm just gonna have him lay on there. And you wanna put the back of your head on that end of the foam roller, making sure that your full spine is engaged, okay? So you don't want to be arching your low back, okay? So then he's just gonna raise his arms out, and again, holding that stretch for 30 seconds to 2 minutes. Good. All right, and then stretching the lats. The lats is just a child's pose, so toes together, knees spread apart, and reaching out in front of you, allowing yourself to drop to the floor, but don't push it. Just allow that to gradually happen.
All right, guys, so now we're gonna move on to the activate section of our warm-up. So this is a point where we're gonna get commonly underactive muscles fired a little bit, so that way they're involved in the rest of your workout here. So for each one of these, you're gonna do one set of 12 to 20 reps per side, and then move on to the next, all right? So we're gonna start with anterior tibialis. So that is your shin muscle, all right? So it runs right along your shin bone here, front of your lower leg, all right? So setup is everything for this one here. So you'll notice Tracy sitting on the floor, hips are on the ground, supported behind her, knee is bent with that heel on the floor, all right? Then what you really want to focus on doing is curling those toes, almost like you're trying to grab something with your toes, and then invert, or what we call inversion. So we're going to try to get the bottom of your foot to point towards the other leg there, all right? Then the key is to drop down and pull up. Really focus on maintaining that curled toe position as well as an inverted position with this one, all right? So you should feel it right along the front of your leg here, lower leg. Should get a pretty good burn with this one fairly quickly. All right, next one, we're gonna move on to glutes. A lot of you guys have been doing this one already. Band is optional here. So we always have our mega loops, so you can always grab those guys. And put it on so it's right above your knees. All right, remember above your knees, not below. And what you're gonna do is get set up. So really focus on that bottom hip, bottom shoulder should really be pressed up against that wall. That is key here, all right? So then you can maintain a good neutral spine. Make sure you're not arching your back, so you shouldn't think of pushing the small of your back against the wall there. All right, so feet are bent. Or knees are bent, feet are on the floor. Take that top foot and you can kind of turn it down just a little bit. Just keep those heels as close together as you can. All right, so we're gonna start with a clamp. So here, Tracy's just gonna push up against the resistance of the band as high as she can without moving those hips or arching that back at all. You wanna maintain that kinetic chain. So we're really focused on getting that glute max to work here. All right, so you should feel your buns working pretty good. All right, so once you get your 12 to 20 reps in there, you're gonna go top leg straight, really think of flexing that quad as much as you can so we get this knee locked out. All right, turn that toe towards the floor just a little bit, and then we're going to raise straight up and then back down. Good. Key thing with this one here is to make sure that you're still maintaining pressure into the wall with your heel. All right, so then that way we can think of getting a little bit of abduction as well as extension into the wall. Get that glute max a little bit turned on there as well. All right, cool. Then Tracy can get the band off and she can get set up on her hands and knees. We're gonna do our quadruped, so this is for your core. Key thing is with this, we want to get our TVA activated and involved, so you really want to think of drawing and pull that belly button in towards your spine. All right, so set up here, wrists are right below shoulders, knees right below hips, core is tight so that low back is flat. And then you want to make sure you're not collapsing your shoulder blades here, but you don't want to overly round your back either. So good neutral upper back here as well. All right, so what Tracy's going to do, she's going to pick one side. She's going to bring that wrist and knee out. All right, and back here, she's really thinking of taking things long. She's not going up, she's going long. So driving or pushing back with that heel, bringing it back in, and then back out again. So you'll notice there's no motion through her lumbar spine. Everything moves from hip joint, shoulder joint. So your core really has to stabilize here as you do these, all right? So you can also go out, hold for a second or two at that extended position, and then bring it back in under nice and good control.
All right, guys, that wraps up our warm-up for our personal training and small group personal training clients. If you have any questions, please feel free and ask us. But remember, if you're running late, we always have the quickie. And we're gonna have Cody run through the quickie just to show you what some of the exercises are. So knee hug and toe is up. Remember, we are always working on making sure we have dorsiflexion. Okay, we don't wanna have those toes pointed down. The next thing is an RDL. And you notice when he's doing the RDL, it's not the leg extended. It is keeping those hips neutral. We don't want any rotation in those hips. Okay? The other one is a squat walk out to a push-up. So again, walking out, and then push yourself right on back. Stand all the way up, walk on out, give yourself a nice push-up. The other one is a walking Spider-Man.
Last steps of this one.
So, yeah, so here we go. Knee hug. He's gonna step out, hands drop to the inside, okay? Then he's gonna come back, pull his toe up, stretch his hamstring, back on down, add a rotation to the inside. And then push himself on back. We're gonna do another one?
Sure.
All right, knee hug, step on out. Good, hands drop to the inside, push yourself back, grab your toe, stretch the hamstring, back on down, and rotate. And the last thing is the integrated movement. And that is basically taking bands, hooking them up to the hooks, and then doing a squat to row, just getting that body a little bit more engaged.